All right, today we're going to talk about. There's lots of news about all things Social Security today. We're going to talk about fraud allegations at Social Security in terms of who's actually finding the fraud, waste, and abuse. It turns out that DOGE been in there for about a month, and they've said supposedly allegations of billions of dollars of fraud, but they haven't shown any receipts yet, and pretty much. I would say an F on their part. In terms of Social Security employees, I'm going to show you some real world examples here in a bit of Social Security employees with the OIG, the Office of the Inspector General. They find fraud on a daily basis. And unfortunately, those are the people essentially being voluntold to leave the agency, to retire early, being fired, whatever the case may be. So it looks like fraud just might increase in the future because the people who actually find the fraud are not there anymore. So we're going to talk about that today, and we've got lots of information. We've got the new policies that are going to start March 31st, and if you're not ready for that, you might not get your check in time. So those are for new claims coming up of people changing their direct deposit. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about the super breaking news about the acting commissioner of Social Security essentially threatening to shut down Social Security. He just came out with a brand new press release a couple of minutes ago, and I'm going to talk about that. But the very fact that he says, "Oh, okay, I decided not to shut down the agency." This is the first time it's been on this kind of cliff since 1935. This has never been like this ever in Social Security history, where the commissioner of Social Security, just kind of has a temper tantrum, I guess, and says, "Well, if my guys can't play, then I'm taking my ball and going home." This is unbelievable. This is completely unsatisfactory. Definitely not the way to run an agency. All right. So, and I'm going to also get into live questions. So I've got a bunch of people already asking tons of questions, and that's kind of what I'm doing in my semi-retirement, and is helping you all make sure you get everything you earn from Social Security. Okay, let's go down the list, and let's talk about some of this craziness. All right. So the OIG, the Office of Inspector General, they work with Social Security employees. So Social Security employees throughout the country, 1,200 offices throughout the country. Those are the eyes and ears of fraud. And if they see something suspicious, they see someone that looks like they're working, or they're no longer disabled, or this person might not still be alive, or whatever the case may be, then they start their paperwork. And DOGE has gone in there, and they think they're going to find billions of dollars with one fell swoop. About 20 million dead people receiving benefits, which they've come up with nothing there because it was never true, or illegals getting benefits. There's nothing there because it's not true. And if you think it is, then wait for the DOGE website to update with the billions of dollars, but I guarantee they're not going to find it. Who finds it are Social Security employees. Again, so they find something that looks suspicious, they get a tip or something like that. If you call into the OIG or Social Security or Medicare OIG, if you see any Medicare type fraud, then that starts the process, and then they send out the paperwork and get the documentation, and then go to the OIG, the Office of Inspector General, and say, "Hey, we've got some very suspicious thing. Go out there and knock on some doors, check this out." And that's exactly how fraud is found at the Social Security Administration. It is a one-on-one situation where you've got one employee looking into it, and they pass it on to another investigator who goes out there and actually does it. So here is an example of the guy in Louisiana collecting his deceased people. That it does happen. It's not 20 million people, but yes, people do not report deaths sometimes, and they continue to collect those checks. So in this particular case, I have one here of this gentleman in Louisiana. His wife passed away, and he continued to collect checks. And I guess he also did some COVID CARE Act stimulus funds that he also stole. And so the OIG went after him. He had to pay restitution. He was put on probation. One of the things on this, I always try to use these examples to kind of help people out there making sure they're prepared for Social Security, for retirement, and all that. Is I don't think this is the case on this particular individual, but people think that when you collect survivor benefits, when you have a spouse that passes away, you get that check. And I can tell you by firsthand experience, A lot of people think this. When they come into the Social Security, when I worked at the Social Security Administration, I used to take claims and people would come in for survivor benefits and they thought this, they heard that, my husband just passed, I get his check, right? Yes, but it's offset by your check. So if you have a husband, let's say, getting $2,000 from Social Security, and you are receiving $1,000 from Social Security, so in the household, $3,000 is coming in every month. The husband passes away, you get that check, the $2,000. But now it's offset. So you continue to get $1,000 from your record, and then you get up to 2,000. So you get another 1,000 from your husband's records for a total of $2,000. So for all intents and purposes, you kind of get their check, but your check essentially stops. It doesn't, but that's the way they calculate it. So long story short, one day you're getting $3,000 in the household, the person passes away, and the next day you're getting only $2,000 in the household. But a lot of people heard that they get that check and they budget. So if you know anybody out there elderly, make sure, please, this is the entire purpose of this channel, is to reach out to those, hopefully you get some help for yourself, but also reach out to those people around you. Reach out to the people around you and say, hey, the elderly people, and say, you understand that you're not going to get both check. We hope you budget for this. So I don't think it's this particular, he probably knew that he wasn't supposed to get that check. He never reported the death. So I guess uh, throughout the United States, if somebody passes away, then the coroner's office, the funeral home, notifies Social Security of the passing. So I guess this person passed away outside. It must have been in the bayous of Louisiana somewhere. All right, and then there's another one here that Social Security employees not only help. Obviously, well, not only do they prosecute Social Security type fraud, but they also prosecute other types of, they help other agencies as well. So we've got another case of a guy in Scranton, 41 months imprisonment for wire fraud. So this is, unemployment assistance, lost wage assistance program, paycheck protection program, Bitcoins. This guy was, he was 53-year-old James Miller out of Scranton, Pennsylvania. This guy was a serious winner. So Homeland Security and the Postal Service and the Department of Labor and the OIG at Social Security also participated in shutting this guy down. So this is, Social Security does not only, stop people from receiving retirement benefits and disability benefits and all the rest of it, but they also help other people. And this is a report. An OIG comes out with a report every now and then, and they just came out with a report today. This is a brand new report that just came out that says one of the biggest reasons Social Security are the overpayments. Our Social Security has limited access to automated real-time information. So what type of the biggest frauds we're looking at is people just don't report. This is not a grand conspiracy to give, 20 million dead people money and or undocumented, immigrants or anything like that. This is just individual people that are on SSI, that are on survivor benefits or early retirement benefits or whatever the case may be, and they work and they make over the annual earnings limit, the $23,400 or whatever the case may be, or they're on disability and they work and make over the substantial gainful activity, which you are allowed to during your 9 months. So it's kind of complicated. So sometimes people are on this list of, incorrect payments by Social Security, but it's because people don't understand the program sometimes. Sometimes, yes, it is obviously fraud. There's a lot of fraud out there. But as I mentioned before, sometimes, which I always recommended, is a strategic overpayment, is letting the Social Security Administration pay you too much on purpose. And I recommend people do that all the time. And so that's, it's not really fraud, I guess. It's just you get an overpayment. Here's what a strategic overpayment is. If you are receiving early Social Security benefits, retirement, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, whatever the case may be, you're receiving early retirement benefits, and you're limited to the amount of money you can make, $23,400. Okay, so if you're going to get kind of close to that, but you're not exactly sure, what I used to recommend before all of these changes actually was All right, you can call the Social Security Administration and say, "Hey, I'm going to make $1,000 over. I'm going to make $24,400. It's going to be $1,000 over." So the Social Security is going to hold back $1 for every $2 you go over. So you can call Social Security and say, "Hey, stop my payment for that 1 month." And in order to do that, you have to be on the phone for 3 or 4 hours, and then you have to worry about whether they're going to restart your payments and whether you have to deal with all that. So sometimes, I recommend just let it ride. If you're only going to be a little bit over that, just let it ride. Next year, after you do your taxes and everything, Social Security will send you a nasty letter in the mail that said, "Hey, you said you were going to be under the 23,400, but you made $1,000, $2,000 over. You owe us a check for $500." So that's a kind of a strategic overpayment. I used to recommend that, but they just changed the regulation, the policy, that now there's 100% withholding. So if you have an overpayment, they're going to withhold the entire benefit amount. And to get it restarted, your office might be closed. You might not have any employees in your office. Yeah, so all bets are off now with the Social Security. It is a different a Social Security than it was a few weeks ago, and that's very unfortunate. All right, so let's go on with, so these are some of the overpayments here. The OSA, that's the old age survivors and disability overpayments, and the top one is SSI, supplemental security income. Okay, all right. So another very important thing that's happening here pretty soon is on March 31st, Social Security is going to start a new policy that if you are able to file a brand new claim online, completely online, you're able to get into it with the new ID Me or whatever the system you use to get into the Social Security. You're able to get in there. Everything is good. Your earnings are correct, and you're able to do everything online. Then you are good. If you can go into an office, I guess that's good if the office is open and you get an appointment. But if you do a phone appointment, then guess what? You will also have to go to the office. So if you have a phone appointment scheduled for next month because you can't get online, that's unfortunately, you're still going to have to go to the office, because the new thing is they're going to identity proofing, in-person identity proofing, which means that if you file over the phone, then you also have to go down to the local Social Security office and prove who you actually are. So this is another block to your Social Security benefits. As I showed you the chart about, what type of fraud was going on out there, according to the OIG, this type of fraud is not on there. This happens 1 in a million, where someone is not the person who they say they are and file for benefits. So this is a very, 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 very small percentage of any type of fraud but they're using that as an excuse to block people from getting their benefits. And unfortunately, the people they're blocking from getting their benefits are the most vulnerable. So if you are elderly, your spouse just passes away and you're 90, 95 years old, and you live 100 miles outside of a Social Security office, and that Social Security office is now closed, or there are no staff there, or you can't get an appointment for 2 or 3 months to go in there and prove who you are, then, well, I guess, yeah, that's the issue. So we need to look out for those people. So if you know anybody in that situation that is going to lose a month or 2 months or 3 months of benefits because they can't get into a Social Security office, they're disabled, elderly, and Social Security is blocking them, we need to come together as a community, call your Congress people and tell them to stop this. This is hurting the people that are most vulnerable. One of the Trump administration guys came on and said, "Well, if my mother-in-law, didn't get a check, it was, they didn't care. Oh, okay, if something happened, I'll get my check next month." And, well, that's great if your son-in-law is a billionaire. I'm sure he's going to float her some money. But a lot of people can't just nonchalantly say, "Well, I'll get my check next month." No, they'll be evicted, they'll lose their electricity and 120 heat. So we need to go out there and make sure we're able to help people that need the help. But if you are going to be filing on over the phone, if you've got an appointment scheduled, you can't get access to your computer, then you're going to have to go into an office, whether it's open or closed. I guess that's a whole different issue. All right. And the super breaking news is kind of the precarious place Social Security is right now. This has never happened since 1935, since the start of Social Security, where the commissioner basically says, "Okay, should I keep Social Security open? Should I give you all your checks or not?" I guess he just came out with the things and said he finished his temper tantrum and he decided to go ahead and give you all your checks. It's very, very nice of him, huh? So basically, what it was is these DOGE people going in, they have access to everybody's record. And you don't do that in Social Security. Social Security has always been really, really. Personally, I have fired several people that worked in my office for accessing records they should not have accessed. And those people know who you are out there. You chime in here and say, yeah, that was me. I was fired. But anyway, people throughout the country, managers of offices throughout the country have fired a lot of people for accessing records, famous people. Oh, I wonder how much Arnold Schwarzenegger makes. So they go in there and that's a red flag and says, bye. As we used to say in the Marine Corps, you now get the big chicken dinner. You are officially, moved out. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. People, Social Security employees, looking at records of their ex-husband or, see how they can see if they can get more child support if he's making more money. Bye, you're gone. So Social Security has always been very, very vigilant in protecting your identity, protecting your personal information. But now these DOGE people have access to everything, and Social Security has always have always had outside sources, accounting firms going in there, and we've had accounting firms come into our office and make sure we're doing everything right, crossing our T's, dotting our I's, and everything. But they were not given access to personal information with the person's name and all that kind of stuff. They were just it was, just all that stuff was kind of blanked out, any type of reviews. But these DOGE people have full access to everything: how much you're making, where you live, who you were married to, how much your benefit amount is, what your direct deposit information is. They have access to everything. And the judge says, no, you really can't do that. So they put down essentially a restraining order on that. And the commissioner of Social Security, who is the commissioner of Social Security? He seems to be in hiding a bit. This is the guy, Leland Dudek. He is the guy that decided. He woke up this morning and he says, oh, okay, I guess I won't stop your Social Security benefits. So he just came out with a statement. And let me pop up his statement there. That today the court issued a clarifying guidance that the temporary restraining order related to DOGE employees and DOGE activities at the Social Security Administration. Therefore, I am not shutting down the agency. Wow, thank you very much. We sure appreciate it. Yeah. President Trump supports keeping Social Security offices open. Well, some of them. And getting the right check to the right person at the right time. Social Security employees and their work will continue under the TRO. So this is kind of the precarious nature of Social Security. We were about that close to getting the whole thing shut down and all the checks stopped. So this is unbelievable. So DOGE, he says, basically, if you tell me DOGE people can't do whatever they want in Social Security, that I cannot give them access to it, DOGE runs Social Security. So if they can't run it, then no employees can run it. Is basically what his argument was, is that if they don't have access, then I can't do anything because they do essentially everything. They're my anti-fraud people. They're my IT people. And if they can't do it, then nobody can do it. So we're just going to shut the whole thing down. And I guess he slept on it and he decided not to shut the whole thing down. So this is a very strange time in American history, particularly in terms of Social Security. But as of right now, checks are going to continue. If you're filing for new benefits coming up here, remember to get access to the computer if you can't make a trip down to your local Social Security Administration. If you can't get access to the computer, then unfortunately, if you file a new claim, and they don't say what a new claim is, a new claim for retirement benefits, obviously, a new claim for disability benefits, or we're talking about a new claim for, like, if you're getting Medicare and you want to sign up for Part B, are they considering that a new claim or new claim for Part B to prove your identity? And we don't know. This whole thing is crazy, but I am going to be keeping up on this and giving you some of the inside scoops on how to dodge DOGE and make sure you get everything you are eligible for and entitled to. Okay, let's move into some questions here. Um, let's see here. Why is Equifax being used to verify my Social Security account? Yeah, that's part of the. It's been around for a while, but in order to prove who you are, they already had a system that asks those challenge questions where it says, did you ever live at this address, did you ever do there. So the Social Security Administration essentially contracted out to agencies, to companies like that, to confirm who you are. So that is where that comes from. Let's see here. Get some actual questions. They want all elderly, low income to vanish. So only rich people exist in this country. It's part of their plan to get rid of 1/3 of people. Okay. But yeah, well, this has been a plan. It's working out perfectly for those who want to privatize Social Security. And if you go into my YouTube channel, on the description, it has the plan that was written in the 1980s, and this is going exactly as planned. They starve Social Security. Social Security has been begging for decades. We need a new computer system. They say, nope, too bad. We're not going to give you any resources to get a new computer system. We need more staffing to help people. Baby boomers are coming up, but we've got less staff than we had in 50 years. Nope. They want customer service to be so bad and people to hate Social Security, because if you love Social Security, if you love anything, you don't want it to, you don't want it to die. But if you're just completely fed up with something, then it's easier to go in there and says, this agency sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, it sucks. All right, well, let's give it over to Wall Street. And this has been the plan for a long time. And then when the crisis happens, then that's when you go in there and swoop in. And this is definitely the crisis type. Yeah. I just want you to know you have relieved me of my much stress and anxiety, and I'm so thankful for you. I wish Elon would hire you. I've reached out to DOGE. People ask me all the time, have you reached out to Congress? Have you reached out to the president? Have you reached out to Elon? Yes, 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 all of them. And yeah, I don't think nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I think it's the old Marine Corps sergeant in me that I don't pull back quite often. So I can't hear what you're talking about. Please see what is going on with the sound. Yeah. Sounds okay, right? Let's see here. Yep. Everything should be good. My check was due today. Still don't have it. Yeah. Usually on the weekends or something, since we're coming up on the weekend here pretty soon, maybe something along there. But I haven't heard of any mass stoppage of Social Security checks right now. So yeah, that you should be good. If you don't get your check, then obviously reach out to Social Security. And if you can get into the Social Security office, call them up. But anyway, but yeah, I haven't heard anything of checks being stopped right now. News today: Trump threatens to stop Social Security check if Musk not allowed to get in all our information. Yes, but they just stopped that. So. Had appointment to show docs to apply for ex-spouse benefits. The Social Security agent at local office said I had to first file on X, then show my docs. I told, take a copy today, put it with my record, I swear. Okay, so, all right. So you filed for ex-spouse benefits. So remember, you have to file for benefits on your own record first, unless your ex-spouse passed away. Survivor benefits are kind of an exception. But if you're filing on a current spouse or a divorced spouse that's still alive, you have to file for benefits on your own record first, and then you file for benefits on that person's record. And remember, the independently entitled divorced spouse benefit, your ex-spouse does not have to be receiving Social Security benefits. As long as they're 62 years old, then you can collect benefits on their record. Let me see. I'm 52. My husband passed away 2 years ago. Could I still apply for survivor benefits? Absolutely. Yeah, there is no limitation on that. So if you are receiving Social Security benefits on your own record, and you have someone that passes away, in that case, you can kind of switch. It's one adds to the other, but absolutely. You had to be if it's a divorce type situation, you had to be married to the person for 10 years or longer. Or if you were married to the person when they passed away, you just had to be married to the person for at least 9 months. And with everything Social Security, there's always exceptions to exceptions. There's common law in particular states. They didn't technically have to be married and divorced if it was a common law state. If what are some of the other exceptions? If you were married to the person for, let's say, 5 years, you divorce them and remarry the same person the next year, by the end of the next calendar year, you can add that extra 5 years to come up with 10 years. The 9-month exception is if you were married to someone for less than 9 months, but they passed away, it was an accident, or they were serving in the military, active duty, then that's an exception for the 9 months. So there's always kind of, exceptions, the exceptions with all things Social Security. So why is the Social Security only going after the poor and never going after the rich? Yeah. Well, the golden rule, right? For those who have the gold rule. Yeah, and the fact that one of the we're going to get cuts in the next few years to our Social Security checks if Congress doesn't do something. And the main reason those cuts are happening is because we pay FICA Social Security on every dollar we make. But if you make over $176,100, you're exempt from paying Social Security FICA tax. You don't have to pay tax on anything after $176,100. So that's the reason Social Security Trust Fund is running out so quickly. And then we're going to be getting cuts in the future is because more money is going to the top, which is exempt from Social Security. We have to pay it on every dollar. We pay FICA Social Security on every dollar we make the entire year. If you're making millions of dollars, then you pay it for the first couple of seconds of January 1st and you're done. So that's the reason. My husband and I are both retired. I got a pension. My husband receives Social Security. If he dies, would I receive his Social Security check? Yes, it really depends on the amount. So you get a pension. So you get some other type. Well, based on the Social Security Fairness Act, it doesn't matter anymore what other type of pension you receive. But in terms of Social Security, if his benefit amount is larger than yours, then yes. If you're receiving spouse benefits on his record, your benefit amount has to be less than half of his, and you're eligible for up to 50% of his full benefit amount. When a spouse passes away, you're eligible for up to 100%. So if his is $1 more, $100 more, $1,000 more, then yes, you would be eligible for that benefit amount, as long as you were married 9 months. And obviously, if you remarry, then you're no longer eligible unless you remarry after the age of 60. So make sure you go in, get access to an online system, because or try to go down to the local office if it's still open at that time. But you're good. Your husband will be around for another 80 years, right? So you don't have to worry about it. So if someone has a direct check in their bank from SSI, do you still have to visit a Social Security office? That's a good question, because you said SSI. SSI, you probably mean Social Security. So I'll answer both questions. If you're just talking about Social Security, no, unless you're going to change that direct deposit. If you're going to change your direct deposit, then yes, you do have to go down to your Social Security office. All right. Now let's answer if you're actually asking about SSI. People confuse the two. SSA is not SSI. So SSA is Social Security Administration. SSI is Supplemental Security Income, and it's a welfare-based program Social Security administers for low-income, low-resource people based on disability or over the age of 65. Okay, because it's a welfare-based program, if you receive an SSI, you know that when you receive SSI, you have to do redeterminations, which every 6 months or every year, the Social Security reaches out to you and makes sure you didn't win the lottery or have some other income or you moved or anything like that. So, and in that case, is DOGE going to consider that a new application to where they can't do that on the phone anymore? To where now SSI people have to go down to the local Social Security office? We don't know. So there's that. Will it be considered a new claim when people sign up for Medicare? All right. Nobody knows. The policy is changing on a daily basis, but there's kind of 2 or 3 situations. If you are currently receiving Social Security monthly benefits, and then you approach 65, then they'll sign you up for Medicare automatically, and you don't have to do anything. Once you're receiving monthly benefits, whether it's retirement benefits or spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits, about 100 days before you reach 65, Medicare will mail you your packet, your Part A and Part B and all that stuff. And then you just have to find, all the other stuff, a Medicare supplement, a Part D plan, a prescription drug, Medicare Advantage, and you can reach out to my partners and they can help you out there. They sponsor this live Q&A. All right. If you are not receiving Social Security benefits, then yes, that is definitely considered a new claim. You have to go online. If you can go completely online, you shouldn't have an issue. If you can't go online for some reason and sign up for Medicare, then you'll have to do the phone or go down to the local Social Security office. And then there's number 3 is if you refused Part B when you turn 65 because you had health insurance from work, yours or your spouse's current work, 20 or more employees, so you refuse Part B, and now you're, let's say, 70 years old and you stop work, you stop receiving health insurance from that work, so you want to go ahead and sign up for Part B. Then you have to do the 40B and the 564, the 2 forms, fill those out, and then send those in. Whether they will consider that a new application, because it's technically a new application for Part B, because you didn't have Part B. You might have already, Part A and Part B. So yeah, that's a question. That's a question we don't know yet. So it's kind of the Wild West out there. We need the Social Security to keep from having to live on the street. Yes, Social Security is the most successful anti-poverty program in American history, bar none. All you got to do is go back and study, the Great Depression and see how terrible it was. That's why Social Security was started during the middle of the Great Depression. Yeah. Do they still go by credits earned for determining benefit payments? What's up, Shay? Let's see here. Yes and no. By credits earned, in order to get like retirement benefits, even disability, you have to have, you had to pay into the system. For retirement benefits, let's say you're 62 years old, you had to pay at least 40 credits. So yes, you will not get paid if you have less than 40 credits on your own record. However, you're asking about the payment amount. That is not decided by those necessarily 10 years. It's decided by your high 35 years of earnings. So Social Security determines your benefit amount by your high 35 years of earnings. So, and they're not necessarily, consecutive. You could have 10 years of high earnings in your 20s and then another higher in their 40s. And so they look at all of it and they index those for kind of an inflation, a wage index. So if you made $20,000 when you were 20 years old, 50 years ago, that's probably worth like $100,000 today. So they turned it into $100,000 and that's how they come up with your benefit amount. So that's why it's always, always, always important to go into, set up a Social Security account, my Social Security, go in there, go through. It's kind of a nightmare to do it, but they make it difficult for a good reason. So other people don't pretend to be you. So you go in there and you check your earnings record. And if you find anything strange, any gaps or anything like that, then you reach out to Social Security or you come back here and you ask me and I'll show you how to fix it. But yeah, that's how they determine how much your benefit amount is going to be for the rest of your life, is based on how much you actually paid into Social Security. So do not dodge DOGE. Yeah. So that was I try to think of funny things on my thumbnails on a daily basis. And sometimes so I'm like, dodge DOGE. So DOGE is trying to put up all of these roadblocks to prevent people, particularly the vulnerable people, from getting their benefits. So yesterday I talked about how to dodge it and, do a little in shuffle, trying to think of a football term, but anyway, it eludes me. Let's see. How can American tax money fund genocide, but not healthcare for the taxpayers? Wow. Sorry. Well, it's old Marine Corps sergeant kind of dark gallows humor here. You have to laugh in the face of, we need it. Okay. I already answered that one. Let's see here. I am having trouble getting on Social Security website. Yeah. don't remember my password and it wants to send a text to an old phone number and I can't change my number until I get on the website. Yeah, what do I do? So, yeah, with the new system, unfortunately, then you're going to have to reach out to Social Security and you just might have to go to a local Social Security office and show your ID and they can reset everything for you. So, yeah. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part. And then people, that just don't have access. So please, let's all reach out, with this nightmare thing, the 70 million Americans that are on Social Security. If you know someone on Social Security, reach out to them. Number one, make sure they're getting the benefits they're entitled to, that they're eligible for, that they paid into. People are waiting for, filing for divorced spouse benefits when they don't have to. People are not switching to their own record after receiving survivor benefits for a while, and vice versa. People are not taking, advantage of Medicaid and the Medicare Savings Program, where they'll pay for your Part B premium. There are just so many people not doing the right thing and suffering because of it. And now, with all this craziness, people are going to have, a more difficult time getting the benefits they need. So let's please, please, please reach out to everybody. And one way you can do that is just simply share, like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff. And it teaches these stupid algorithms that this is important stuff. So, all right. Is there any truth to a Social Security stimulus check? No, no, not right now. One of the things out there is the Social Security Fairness Act, and people think it's all clickbait. And because I did a video about it, and everybody says, "Ed, you're just clickbait, clickbait, clickbait. I didn't get that check." And I said, "Well, you didn't watch the video. The Social Security Fairness Act is for 3% of the people that worked for the government, local government, city, state government, teachers, firefighters, janitors at the hospital, wherever, police officers, and they are getting a higher percentage than the other 97%, and also some back pay. And the back pay is about $6,000 on average. So there's a lot of people receiving that $6,000. And you see in social media that, yes, $6,000, $3,000, $7,000, $8,000 check is coming to people. And it is not clickbait. It is an actual fact. Unfortunately, it's not coming to you or me, the 97% of people out there. I didn't. They are for people that in their main jobs did not pay into Social Security. They paid into Social Security at some other job, but they didn't pay it in their main job. They work for that government, and they're getting a higher percentage than the rest of us. I was completely against that, and those people don't like me anymore because I was against it. But if they get the extra percentage, I believe everybody should get the extra percentage. So how would us 97% like another 100, 200, 300, 500, $600 a month in your check? Yes, I think we should fight for a true Social Security Fairness Act. So Dudek is a troublemaker. Yeah. Yeah, he admitted he was looking for another job. He had done some things that he was not supposed to. He was a kind of a mid-level employee. Nobody really knew about him. And he was doing some stuff that he wasn't supposed to be doing, allegedly. He admits it. And he was looking for another job. He thought he was going to be fired. And then DOGE came in and say, "Wow, you're our guy." And they made him the commissioner of Social Security. And he is following orders. And he has specifically said, "I am not in charge. It's DOGE is telling me what to do, and I just do it." If we want these mega bums off the streets and be clean like Denmark and Sweden, Norway, we need more funding for Social Security budget. Yeah, and in order to get that, we just need to make sure everybody pays the same amount, just like us. If it's fair, it's fair. If we have to pay on everything, then yeah. Let's see here. Will back payments still be issued according to date on award letter, SSI? Yes. If you get an award letter from SSI or SSDI or anything from Social Security, and it says we just processed your claim and we have found you were eligible for benefits effective 6 months ago, then they will pay you back 6 months. So yeah, nothing like that is changing. So if you got an award letter, then you got an award letter. Because SSI is going to deny any taken at all. They will make us pay for it as overpayments, but yet you get the same size check each month. Okay. SSI is going to deny any taken at all. Not exactly sure. SSI again is the welfare-based program, but this sounds like I don't know if this is what you mean, but I always like to throw this out there, particularly now. Um, you hear this internet myth all the time about Social Security always denies disability claims the first time. Please stop repeating that myth because you're doing terrible harm to people. I have taken hundreds of thousands of disability claims, and yes, some of them were denied that I don't think should have been denied. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a doctor, but not that medical doctor. But and some were approved that anyway. But I've had cases where I take the claim for the person and I send it up to get the medical decision, and it comes back like that same day approved, or the next day I walk in the office the next day and it's approved. So Social Security disability claims are approved first time, a lot of times, not a, anyway, sometimes they're denied, but anyway, but don't repeat that, because when you repeat that myth, then people that are actually disabled, that are really hurting, dealing with their disability, and they, kind of, down in the dumps, and they're worrying about their money, and they hear that, well, yours is going to be denied anyway. That just demoralizes them, and they just don't file, even though they should file. It's their money. If they paid into FICA tax all those years, that's their money. So they should file for it. So when you repeat that, usually it's lawyers that like to repeat that because they want you to hire them. If you want to use a lawyer, that's fine. But and you always hear that lawyers get a higher percentage approval rate. Well, you know why? Because lawyers are picky and choosy. If you call them up and say, yeah, I snubbed my toe, I want to file for disability, they go, yeah, sorry. Oh, I was in a terrible accident last year, and well, okay, we'll take your case. Well, yeah, more percentage of those are approved because you're picking and choosing. So, but let's stop kind of the internet myths out there, because it really hurts people that really need the help. So my understanding is this: if my father needs to update his bank information, or number one, Ali Torres, thank you for looking out for your father there. Thank you for looking out your family and coming here and asking questions for someone. Yeah, perfect. We like that. All right. So update his bank information or anything that he could do online. He must log in through a government verification in order for the information. Yes. Well, yes, for the direct deposit, you have to go fully online and change your direct deposit online. If you can't do it online, you can't do it over the phone, which you were able to before. And that one right there, I could see that. That's one thing there was quite a bit of fraud on, that OIG was continuing, to clamp down on, was people changing other people's direct deposit without, their knowledge. So that was a good, that I think that might have been, that's a good decision. It's obviously they should, mediate it a little bit, because, people that live way out in the country, they can't go to a Social Security office, don't have access to the computer. If they need to change a direct deposit, it's going to be, difficult, if not possible. But I can see that one. I kind of agree with that DOGE idea. So that's a good one. That's why today in my my grade, I gave DOGE an F instead of an F minus, because because they added that one. They've got an F because they haven't found any fraud or waste and abuse at Social Security at all yet. But Social Security employees, the reason I gave them a B is because they're doing good. They could do better. Everybody could do better. And the fact that they've got the resources they have as an agency are not good. So if DOGE wants to go in there and help with that, the computer system, I'm always on the positive side, so definitely help with that. You gotta pull a nugget out of everything, right? I got a letter today. I was involved in windfalls. They are telling me I have 2 accounts. Is this true? Yeah. So windfall, are we talking about the windfall elimination provision? So if that's the case, and this is another thing DOGE doesn't understand. One of their directives of going into Social Security is finding, who these 20 million people or dead people are receiving benefits, where they are. And then they found out there's no there, and because they just don't understand Social Security. Even the acting commissioner of Social Security, the Dudek guy, says, yeah, you just don't understand the system. That's not true. And another thing is they're going in there and finding people that are receiving benefits on 2 records. And there's millions of people that receive benefits on 2 records. Probably you, Evie, receive benefits, it sounds like, on 2 records. These people just don't understand Social Security, and anyway. If you are receiving benefits on your own record, it's called an A record. So it's, in the old days, you used to get a letter and it'd have your Social Security number and then have an A at the end of it. If you're also receiving spouse benefits or receiving divorce spouse benefits or surviving spouse benefits, you're receiving more money on another person's record. So in the old days, you used to get the Social Security number and then would have like a D or a W-1 or something. It would be coded that this is what you're receiving from this other person's record. So yes, in your particular case, you just might be receiving benefits on your own record and you're receiving benefits on another person's record. So yes. And that's why DOGE is, in there. Oh, we got people receiving benefits from, twice. No. If anyone is having trouble logging into my SSA, try another browser. I couldn't get logged in for weeks. I was using Google for the browser. I switched to Firefox and was able to log in right away. Thank you, Becky, for that. Yes, I forgot to mention that sometimes. Yeah, always check out for another browser there. Yes, good. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, you just go, it's free. You just, Google Firefox browser and you can download the new one. And I guess Bing too, but I don't know if anybody, I don't want to talk bad about Bing there. Anyway, I don't know if Bill Gates will. Anyway, and they refuse to raise the cap. Simple solution. They refuse to do because the rich can't afford taxes. Yeah, that's the simple thing. That's the fix right there. Let's see here. I have been on SSDI since July of 2011. I haven't worked at all, but just my condition hasn't changed. It actually gotten worse. But with the economy, I just started working part-time in January, doing a gig job. Okay. So remember, when you receive Social Security disability benefits, yes, you are allowed to work. The first 9 months, you've got that trial work period. You can make as much as you want within that 9 months to see if you're able to work, because Social Security and everybody wants you to go back to work. It's good for you. It's good for the trust fund. You pay taxes. We all love, people paying taxes, I guess. So it's good for everybody. So that's why Social Security, has programs to allow you to see if you can go back to work. And so for the first 9 months, you can make as much as you want and it doesn't affect your Social Security. After that 9 months, then you go into what's called extended period of eligibility, and you have 36 months. So every month you go over SGA, which is substantial gainful activity, which this year is $1,620. Anytime you go over that, Social Security will withhold that check. So, but I've done a few videos on receiving disability benefits and working and all the rest of it. So. Let me see what other kind of question. It's a medical, okay, sir. Okay. Bottom line is you're skirting around the fact that Trump is, okay, stop sugarcoating it. I try to not be partisan. I'm political in the sense of politics is all about resources. One party thinks resources should go here, human resources, financial resources. Another party think they should, they all have, whatever. Politics change. The one political party today is completely different than that same political party 100 years ago. And so they change all the time. So logging into Social Security website, my political party is Protect Social Security Party. And whichever political party, partisan party supports Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, obviously fraud, waste, and abuse, we all need to get rid of that. But if you're using that as as an excuse to just kill the program, then yeah, that's not good. So whatever political party wants to support Social Security and Medicare, then that's my political party. So I'm a one-trick pony. Logging into Social Security website from your smartphone does not permit a person to start up Social Security for the first time. Smartphone bad. Yeah, that's one thing that has been suggested out there. Medicare has a great little app that they do, that they have. You can go into whatever Play Store, Apple, whatever, and Medicare has an app. It's called, Is It Covered by Medicare? And you can download it, and it tells you what's covered by Medicare. You can put in, cataract surgery or, knee surgery and stuff, and it'll tell you, what's covered and what's not and how much you have to pay and all that kind of stuff. So, and Since we've got a few more days, March 31st. So January, February, March, up to March 31st, you are able to change your Medicare Advantage plan. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan and you forgot to check it, you found out the one you got is not great, you lost your doctors, you want to see if there's a better one out there, you still you still have until March 31st to change it. You can change it one time. If you change it before March 31st, then your new plan will start April 1st. And if you don't, then probably your next opportunity will be in October, November. So, and you can reach out to Chapter there and they can help you out. They work, they help people throughout the country, 100% free. And they'll tell you whether your plan is the best plan. If it's the best plan, they'll say, you're in the best plan, you're gone, forget about it. We'll see you next year. And they check all the plans in your area. And this is also the opportunity to get out of a Medicare Advantage plan and go back to original Medicare and get a Medicare supplement. You can do that through March 31st. You might have to go through health underwriting to get the Medicare supplement, but Chapter can help you out with that as well. So let's see. Okay, let me get some. Told me I have a decision deadline of March 26, 2025. I had my final CE on the 18th. Will I get a decision by the 26th, or will it be delayed? All right. So John, he said a CE. A CE is consultative exam. So when you file for disability benefits, you provide all your medical, well, you don't provide, you provide the names of the doctors and clinics and hospitals you went to, and Social Security will reach out to those and get the medical records. But if they determine that there's just not enough medical information in there, they will have you go see a Social Security contracted doctor. And then that's called a consultative exam. So John had one on the 18th. So that doctor will write up the report, send it to DDS, the Disability Determination Service in your state, and they'll look at it. And then will it be delayed? Yes. Because not only Social Security, but DDS, the state agencies, they're having their funding cut and they're losing employees. So when I took the hundreds of thousands of disability claims I took when I worked at Social Security, me and everybody at that time used to tell people, okay, we're going to send up your case for medical review, and you'll get an answer probably within 3 to 6 months. Up until a couple of weeks ago, people were saying, okay, you'll get your answer in about 6 to 9 months. Now, yeah, all bets are off. And that's unfortunate. And was it the OIG came out a report a while ago that 30,000 people pass away while they're waiting for their disability to be approved. And it's going to get far, 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 far worse, unfortunately. So the most vulnerable are the targets here. So if you're like who was it? The Commerce Secretary said, hey, if my mother-in-law doesn't get her check, it's no big deal. She'll get her check next month, or she'll just contact me because I'm a billionaire and I'll float her a few $100. So he just kind of nonchalantly said, hey, if you don't get your check, you're all right. Right? You can go a few months without checks. So yeah, it's just cold. I'm 55, disabled, can't drive due to vertigo. Bail having medically diagnosed memory problems getting worse. What do I have to do to continue benefits? SSI and SSA. Move from Arkansas to Missouri. Yeah, if you're disabled right now, there's no changes necessarily right now in your particular case, unless you're looking to move. If you're going to move from Arkansas to Missouri, then because you're on SSI, you're going to have to re-up. You're going to have to do everything over, because when you're on SSI, the welfare-based benefits, any type of living arrangement changes, your rent changes, you move, you have to contact Social Security. And because of that, you just might have to go to the local Social Security office in your new state. But if you don't move, then you don't have to do anything right now, unless you get one of those CDRs, the Continuing Disability Review, in the mail. But my philosophy on those is, if you don't have it in the mail right now, don't worry about it. It's more of a funding issue than anything else. So don't worry about CDRs until you actually get it. And then when you get it, then you fill it out, return it, make copies, and and then forget about it again, because it is 100% a funding issue, whether you actually have to go through the whole rigmarole or not. Oh, Jan became a member. Thank you very much for becoming a member. We appreciate it. This is essentially a two-man operation, so we appreciate it. It's me and my son. He's behind the scenes making sure the technology sometimes work. I mess it up, but anyway. And so it's just me and him. And then obviously, Chapter has a whole bunch of people throughout the country that can help you with all things Chapter or all things Medicare. And so we appreciate their sponsorship, and we appreciate you becoming a member. Thank you. Ed, how long is it taking for initial startup for drawing SSI? Your SSI usually takes a little bit longer because that's the welfare-based program. Supplemental security income. Again, people confuse the two. But if you're asking about SSI, then it takes a little bit longer because they have to review your income and resources and everything, file. And because you're filing for SSI, if you're under 65, you're talking about disability. So it's going to take you about a year or so to start your SSI if you're under 65. If you're over 65, then they just check your income and resources. Okay. All right, Ernie. If you're actually asking about Social Security, say like retirement benefits, then if you file online and if everything is good and perfect, your earning is correct, you put everything in perfectly, then someone still has to look out on the other side. People think if they file online, then it's all automatic. No, a Social Security employee still has to review the claim to make sure everything is correct, make sure check your earnings, see if you got any spouses, because if you got any spouses that you were married to for 10 years or longer, they need to send out a letter to them to protect them for filing in case they're entitled to benefits. So there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that people think, oh, I just pushed the button and I got my check, so it's all automatic. No, it's not. There's a lot of things that have to happen. And because there's no Social Security employees essentially out there anymore, if you did it online up to a couple of weeks ago, you would, get your check in, if you're entitled to your check, get it. The claim would be processed probably about 3 weeks or so. It depends on what part of the country, but now, it's a completely different world. Remind smartphone replaces a computer. Dad's friend turning 70, concerned, didn't have a computer. I showed him how to access and apply right from his smartphone. Oh, okay. So someone did do it from their smartphone. I just tried to get on my account. There is someone who wants to know why I'm trying to getting online. I'm afraid to give her my info. Why is anyone picking up the phone line asking questions? Yeah. There's just nobody up. And there are some politicians that, did a, kind of a showmanship type of, Barnum and Bailey circus, House of Representatives. The reason Social Security customer service is so terrible is because of telework. All we need to do is, have people go back into the office and everything's going to be perfect. Well, guess what? Yeah, that wasn't the cause. The cause was Social Security employees are at the lowest staffing level since in 50 years. And now it's probably the low in staffing levels since 1935. And you've got all the baby boomers. So, those politicians we're just playing politics and we fell for it. We continuously fall for their distractions. One day we'll smarten up. My audience is already smartened up. So, can I still apply for retirement benefits online before March 31st? My birthday is in the third week of August and I turned 62 this year. You're early. You can only file about 3 months or so before, and you have to be 62 the entire month. So, if your birthday is third week in August, then you can't start your benefits until September, and you'll get your first check in October because you have to be 62 the entire month. So, it's too early to do it now. But hopefully, if everything stays the same, which, I doubt it will, about 3 months before September, then you go online, and hopefully at that time, if you're able to do everything online, then you should be good. So, but that is as of right this second. I spoke to a very nice lady at the main Social Security office in Maryland. She called me back after I opted for a callback. She verified all my info in 5 minutes and said I was all set. Awesome, awesome. But remember, that's different. That's not going to happen in March after March 31st. To verify info, it sounds like if you're verifying info like that, then you're going to have to go down to the local Social Security office and show ID now. So I guess enjoy it while it happened. I'm a disability lawyer. How will the change on 331 impact our ability to file for our clients? Usually when we file for someone else, it doesn't ask to verify identity. Yeah, that's a good question. They haven't added that in there. So there is no, they just said if you can do everything online, then you're good. But I'm assuming, but you know what they say about assuming, right? If you're a lawyer and you're in the system, you've got all the documents in there, the 1696 and 3288, and all that kind of good stuff in there, then it should be good. But yeah, they did not specify any exceptions like that. So nobody knows. The only thing you do is try it after March 31st, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Go in there and see if it allows you to do it. And that's basically what everybody can do, unfortunately. So, yeah. I collect Social Security and some SSI, total under 1,000. My ex turned 62 6 months after I started collecting. If I would have waited, I could have got more dollars. Is there anything I can do now to get more money? No, because you're on SSI. When you're on SSI, the welfare-based program, and you're eligible for any other benefits from Social Security or welfare or anything, inheritance or insurance, you have to take those. You have to take it, or your SSI will be denied. I know exactly where you're going here, and I kind of understand where you're saying, okay, I'm on SSI. I'm receiving, it's a welfare-based benefit. It comes from the general taxation. It doesn't come from the trust fund. So it's taxpayer money. I know Social Security, is supposed to take care of taxpayer money. But if I file for spouse benefits at 62, I get such a reduced amount. And then I still have to stay on SSI. If they would have let me wait until my full retirement age, I could have got a higher benefit and gotten off SSI. Yeah, I know. But that's unfortunately the law. So, all right, I am over an hour, and we talk about 3 different stories today. And but most importantly, it's a long story short on all this: reach out to people that you know and help them navigate the bureaucracy. And there's a lot of people, particularly the vulnerable people out there, that are really, really going to be hurt because of all this. But everybody out there, please make sure you reach out to at least one person and help them, and if you got any questions, come back here and I'll get to as many as I possibly can. All right, y'all take care and take care of each other. Bye-bye.